She's dead. Wrapped in plastic.
Welcome to the Twin Peaks podcast.
Damn good coffee. And hot. Would everyone please take a seat?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 34 of the Twin Peaks podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Melanie.
I'm Brad.
I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Jake.
Boo, Jacob!
Oh, just like that.
I'm allowed to do that because Jacob is my old friend.
Yeah.
You have to earn your applause.
Oh, whatever.
If you if you do all right, we'll give you some at the end.
All right. Fair enough.
Well, Jake actually kind of got me into Twin Peaks. You gave me the files. You left them at my house.
You shouldn't admit to that readily, Matt.
I bought them later. They got my money.
It's true.
See, piracy works sometimes. How'd you get into Twin Peaks?
How did I get into Twin Peaks? When I was little, my mother was obsessed with Twin Peaks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I remember. It's funny, up until a couple of years ago when when I watched the whole series, the only things that I could remember about the show were the theme song, the scene where Audrey ties the cherry stem with her tongue.
Of course you would remember that.
And I remember one scene scarred me in particular because I was really young at the time. It was when Harold scratched his face with the hoe. I remember the next day going to school and thinking about that. I'm like, oh my god! Then I watched it again as an adult, and I'm like, that looks stupid.
Sure does.
He's just smearing paint on his face.
Yes, you could see it on there beforehand. Yeah. So, Brad and Caitlin, is this the first time you've rewatched the pilot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
It's a different world.
I really enjoyed it. I used to go back and see it again. Plus, see it from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once you know everything.
Especially after having watched the movie, too. You kind of see Laura in a completely different light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many more people that I realize she slept with just from watching this.
Man, she's like slept with everybody.
Yeah.
Actually, well, I'll get to that later.
We'll get to it. Did you guys watch the entire extended credit sequence again? Or
Yeah.
Did you skip it? You watched it?
I watched it all.
With the blade sharpening and the giant log and...
Oh yeah, the giant log. I laughed when I saw that.
Yes. Okay, so it opens with Caitlin's favorite character.
I know. Why would you do that? Setting yourself up for disappointment.
You know, but this reminded me of how much I wanted Josie's character to pay off, and she totally didn't.
Yeah, you would never guess the directions she was going to go back in the first.
You thought she was going to be kind of badass, kind of crazy.
Oh, I thought she was going to be, a good person.
No, I thought
Yeah,
she
so
was
did I.
No, how could you? She's like looking at herself in the mirror, like
I know,
humming.
but...
She looks insane.
Big black fur coat.
Oh, that's right.
Also, she speaks perfect English.
Yeah.
It gets worse later.
Yeah.
I love the foghorn sound. Like I don't think that appears after this episode, but it's all through the episode.
Yeah, I actually made note of that. It's one of my quotes.
What? There's a quote about the foghorn?
Pete.
Yeah, Pete.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'll say it later.
Yeah,
I have
right.
that quote too.
Right. No.
Now you can have it.
All right,
I
sweet.
always have several quotes.
Mm.
Oh, I was glad to see Pete again, though.
Yeah,
Aw,
it's good to see him.
it is.
One thing I noticed about this episode after watching the whole series and the movie and then going back to the pilot was I never realized just how much everybody's hair changes.
Yeah.
Everybody's hair. In some scenes, Andy's got a mullet, and then some scenes he doesn't.
Yes.
It's true.
Would you say the hair generally gets better or worse as the series goes?
I'm gonna say better.
Okay.
I think it has to.
Yeah. Although I was a fan of Audrey's short hair in this.
I was gonna say, yeah, I made a note of that to say she looks like a flapper, one of those, socialite ladies from the 40s or something.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
No, don't like it?
No.
Okay. Again, I mention this all the time, but I'm loving the genuine Washington scenery.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I just miss it, like when they moved to California.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice big differences in the sets as to how they appear later, like the police station?
Is the police station that different? Because it looked pretty similar to me.
Different enough.
Yeah, it's enough, but
The main thing I noticed was their house, the Palmer household, but that was coming from Fire Walk with Me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a completely different house in a completely different street.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any notes about Pete finding Laura's body?
Oh, actually, there was something. In the intro, like the extra extended intro with the theme song and everything, they always have that big log.
Yeah.
Well, Laura's body was found by a big log.
Is it a log or is it like petrified? Is it petrified wood or is it a rock?
The giant thing that she's washed up next to? That looks like a log to me.
Because it's still there, like today.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow. There's a lot of wood there's a lot of wood sitting there.
You can see it on Google Earth. You can. I know how to zoom directly to that spot from space,
and I do it every day.
I can attest to that.
I'm like, watch this. Oh, look, it's the entire Earth.
I've seen it before.
And then I zoom to that.
Go on, Matt, stop. Every fucking day. I noticed, though, the wrapping job that they did on Laura Palmer's body, it looks like they wrapped her like a bunch of flowers.
It's true. Kind of like open on the top for them to breathe.
Exactly. Yeah. And she was dipped in water.
This horrendous bouquet ever. Yeah, I also noticed that foghorn's going all the time, but not as much as Laura Palmer's theme song. It's like... It's on repeat the entire episode.
Yeah.
It's such a weird horn sound, too.
The foghorn?
Yeah.
I know when I first watched it, I got annoyed by Laura Palmer's theme, like, constantly on a loop like that. I'm like, why doesn't the show have, more than 2 songs?
I didn't even notice the music this time.
Really?
Yeah, me too.
Actually,
it was kind of nostalgic hearing it again.
Yeah.
Here's a fun fact. I watched it on my PS3 last night, and then I was kind of running out of time because I had to get up early this morning. So I set it to play at 1.5 speed. Listen to the theme song. Listen to the theme song like that. It's way creepier.
Now we have to try that.
Yeah.
Just up the tempo.
Yeah, just slightly. But the music in the background, like the bass and the horns and stuff, it just sounds so much more evil.
I feel like Lucy's a lot more competent in the pilot, and when when Pete calls and she's telling Harry where to answer the phone,
yeah,
the dull look on his face, you really think that maybe he just doesn't understand. Maybe Lucy's really just hand-holding Harry.
But he looks like he's like so smug. He always talks like he's better than everybody else. Like in this episode, I found, anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know. And to me, it looked like every time he spoke, he's kind of processing what everyone just said before he responds.
With his beady little eyes.
Like like when Lucy was telling him where to answer the phone, he even repeats what she says. He's like, "You mean the black phone?" She's like, "Yeah."
The black phone.
I think Brad's onto something. Then yeah, she's just hand holding him and walking him through each step he has to do. We also get Ben and Leland. I remember my first time watching it, I got them mixed up, like every time they were in a scene.
Oh, but you get like blonde girls mixed up.
Yeah, it's true. But I miss seeing Leland again.
Yeah, he's got a different hairdo too. He's got a little bit more in the back.
I think everyone has a little bit more in the back, except for Audrey.
They were coming out of the mullet phase.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a terrible time in history.
Didn't they film this in 1989 or something?
Yep.
No, it was probably like when they got over the New Year's. They're like, "Oh, we gotta update our hairdos." Andy, get rid of the mullet. Okay, Gary.
Would you guys think of watching Leland grieve for his daughter when you know what he's done?
Well, I actually enjoyed watching it this time because to me it seemed like true grief because I knew that they would have another killer. So I'm like, hey, he can actually be a sad dad.
Okay.
But keeping in mind that it was also just the ending was just kind of tacked on, and it's still sort of Leland. Like at this point, it's It's interesting because you can't help but watch it and try to see if, like, oh, is he going to act a little different? Are there any little clues, little subtle hints that's going to tell you?
Yeah.
And there is.
Well,
I think it's unavoidable.
Him.
the actor didn't know that he was the
Well,
killer.
not from him,
Yeah.
but from Sarah Palmer. She's like, "Who's that upstairs?" And you hear the wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
We're revisiting Sarah Palmer wailing.
Wailing, tearing her hair out, gnashing her teeth.
It's so less assaulting. Watching it, going back and watching it again. I just remember the first time, like, we watched this pilot. It was just everything was so. It seemed so amped up to 1,000. And now just going back, I'm like, okay, all right, this I can follow this. This isn't jarring at all.
Yeah, like, you don't have to spend a lot of energy to try to remember the faces this time.
Yeah.
That takes up a lot of brain power the first time you watch it.
Well, it was the weeping and the music and the hair. I remember watching the first time. It was assaulting.
I like the original diner. I like the dinginess of it. I find in the series it's too bright. Like, there's artificial lights, really bright ones, like set lights.
I noticed something about that, actually, the diner. Because Bobby drives Shelley home first thing in the morning before he goes to school. So is that like a 24-hour diner or something?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
It must be.
There's like, do they just cater to like truck drivers who've been going all night and they need a,
Probably.
Yeah, it must be.
Because in Twin Peaks, like Chester and Stanley go to that diner and it's like super late at night, right?
Yeah.
They definitely closed because we have that awesome scene of Hank getting his ass kicked at night.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
in his pajamas.
Maybe the staff just works in their pajamas at night. I don't know.
They must open at like 5 a.m.
He must be sleeping under the fry cooker or something.
Maybe.
Waiting for a customer.
Don't worry, Norma, I'll make it up to you.
Shelley just came in for her 10-minute shift.
She just came in to get everything ready, and then she goes home.
For about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I took notice of more ceramic figurines this time.
I just completely blocked them out.
Yeah.
I didn't even see them. My brain ignored them.
Mel and I noticed a pretty cool one, though, in Audrey's locker.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see that? Did you notice what it was?
No, I couldn't figure out what it was.
It was a Smokey the Bear ashtray.
Nice.
Oh, it's the best.
Did you guys see the dancing guy in the hall this time? I know you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Doing the what was it? The worm or the
Tried to do like
know.
the wave or something, and then tried to make it look cool with the moonwalk or something.
Who does that?
Nobody was watching him, though.
I was watching him. That was awesome. For all the wrong reasons.
Hey, speaking of Bobby driving Shelley home, he was breaking all kinds of driving rules there. No seat belts. The hands were not at 10 and 2.
He's a rebel.
Drinking and driving, probably speeding.
He's an
drinking and
industrious
driving
young
first thing in the
man.
morning? Was he drinking and driving when he was driving Shelley home in the morning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Shelley was drinking.
Shelley was drinking, and she gave him some.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
A little pick me up before homeroom.
Yeah.
Except she was going home.
And
no more high school for me.
Even with them breaking all those laws, best cop in the town, Harry Truman, drove right past.
Of course.
Who's that random screaming girl?
Oh, yeah. Forgot about her.
And is that...
Oh my god!
She must have
She's
been...
like an official mourner.
Yeah. Designated by the school, yeah.
Release the town mourner!
Quick, tell her a cat died.
Unless you're her mother, or I don't think that's a sane reaction to have to hearing your classmate died.
Scream and run away.
Yeah.
Maybe she found out her Coke supplier died.
Sure.
No more sweet Coca!
Yeah.
We get some random Twin Peaks officers that we've never seen. We'll never see again.
They show up once in a while. They were there when they arrested Jacques, weren't they?
Were they?
Yeah, because remember that was the episode where they kind of swarmed him and then Andy shot him?
I don't know if it was the same guys, though. But
Well, there were more cops.
there's a lot of people in this town that only show up in this episode. Like, I was very surprised we never saw the principal again. He got, like, a kind of a significant...
The guy who plays the principal in the show, he always reminds me of the principal from the Archie comics.
It's true, Mr. Weatherby.
Yeah, Mr. Weatherby, that's his name.
I can't believe I remembered his name.
And he was weeping like a baby when he was making that announcement. So I was wondering, maybe did he stop by One-Eyed Jack's one night while Laura was still there or something?
His initials are definitely in her diary.
Yeah, are they?
They gotta be.
When he was dismissing all classes, I really wanted somebody in the background to go, yes! Nobody did, though.
Everybody just cried.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it was funny, though, with the scene where Donna was sitting in class just bawling her eyes out. You can kind of see two students on either side of her in the background. They're just ignoring her.
I know.
They know her. They know what she's about, and they're like, Donna's crying again. And then, like, later on it cuts back to her, and she's sitting there, and there's, like, 7 girls around her. They're all like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah. These are the same students that ignored Laura when she was, like, spasming and falling on the floor and stuff in the movie.
Yeah.
How crazy is it to see Donna not being the worst?
She plants the seeds of being the worst.
She was actually really good in this episode, though.
Yeah. This is her beginnings of screwing up the investigation, you know, like
Yeah.
not giving all the info and
Lying.
lying.
All this, yeah, it's all beginning. But it's so fresh and new.
Yeah.
Hey, we should have like a moment of silence or grief for Laura Palmer. Maybe at the end of the episode. Can we just all wail at the end of the episode?
Yeah. Matt will play the clip of Bobby in the jukebox, and we'll just have silence for a minute.
Yeah.
And then we'll start wailing like banshees.
I forgot how Audrey was in the beginning. She's so bizarrely just interesting.
She seems slow almost sometimes.
No, I think she's just bored and obviously just fucking with people, which is awesome.
Just a little stinker.
With that little styrofoam cup in the coffee.
Love it.
It's like Dennis.
Speaking of which, that lady that she's talking with, it looks like if that woman looks like she could be Ronette's mother.
She does, yeah.
Yeah, she's got the same sort of hairstyle when Ronette comes back in the second season for that one scene.
Similar face too. Hawk and Leland in Laura's room.
Hawk's got a bit of a different hairdo too. He's got a little bit more. It's more of a pompadour on the top. It kind of stands up a little bit.
So did you guys notice how Hawk didn't even notice Leland's evil presence?
Hawk dropped the ball. Should have
He
said.
just wasn't letting on. He just wasn't letting on.
Alright. Okay. Guess I'll accept that.
Packard sawmill.
It always.
What? Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, it always gets me every time I see the scene where she just fires that random worker.
Oh, I know.
It's pretty great.
I love Catherine.
What's your name? You're fired.
But yeah, Josie looks like she's gonna be, like a nice, upstanding citizen type character this early on. And I kind of wonder if she changed over time or she was always.
No, there was always something up with her.
Yeah, well, once you watch the whole series, you don't find that out until then.
No, I mean, with the writing wise, did they
Oh.
have plans to make her?
They thought they could do something interesting with her. They just never did.
Yeah.
Didn't get around to that part.
Yeah. Well, didn't Kimmy Robertson mention that, like, somewhere in the second season they had writers on drugs writing for the show?
Probably.
No.
I think they'd be hard pressed to find writers not on drugs to write the show.
Yeah. Guys, I got this great idea. Her name's Evelyn Marsh.
But you guys noticed? So the principal probably slept with Laura. He closed down the school. Josie totally slept with Laura.
She closed.
She closed down the mill.
The principal, I was like, did he like, did the principal go to, like, One-Eyed Jack's one night and he was like, oh, I loved her so much.
They all did. Everybody.
You notice also that the Norwegians found out about she died, and then they closed down the deal.
Yeah.
They all slept with Laura Palmer.
But
Yeah.
but Big Ed didn't close down the gas station.
Oh, he's the only.
And the diner's still open.
Yeah.
Big Ed and Norma, they only have eyes for each other.
Yeah.
Who likes seeing Crazy Nadine again?
I enjoyed it.
So much angrier in the pilot episode.
Yeah.
When are they gonna goddamn drink for them?
What do you guys prefer out of the versions of Nadine?
You mean pre-memory loss and post-memory loss?
Yeah.
Oh, I love comedy hijinks. Teenage Nadine.
Yeah, it kind of rings true with me too. It's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when she's trying to be extra girly and then, like, her Hulk strength destroys, like, a city.
But I do like her whole Drape Runner story and obsession.
Yeah.
I like Ronette's scene on a bridge. Just the cinematography of that.
Yeah.
Really creepy / beautiful.
It always sends a chill. Like, every time I watch it, it always sends a chill down my spine when it shows like her face as she's walking along, and the camera goes down and it shows her hands were tied.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And she got like cigarette burns on her chest as well. It looks like.
Yeah, she's all mangled.
I kind of wanted to see a horde of zombies coming behind her, joining her in like
She's leading the zombie horde.
An orgy of like flesh eating and
Orgy.
well, not an orgy. I don't know what the correct word is. I don't know.
Yeah,
Flesh eating.
Herd.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they all came from Flesh World, and they're all 17-year-old girls.
And they're all zombies.
Can I just say I've got this playing on the television in front of me, and I'm looking at the library scene. There are a shocking amount of empty shelves in that library.
What?
Kids of Twin Peaks are shelves are being
right.
neglected.
Maybe they're all checked out books.
I'm sure.
I've got a scene here where the principal's sitting there talking to them. It looks like Hawk's just staring at the empty shelves behind him, and he's like,
Disapproving.
He's like, no, this won't do.
This town is doomed. Caitlin and Brad speak of the reintroduction to Coop.
Go for it, Caitlin.
Did you yawn, Brad?
I think it was a yawn of frustration.
I enjoyed seeing Coop come back to Twin Peaks again, but I don't know if it's just how his character had developed, but it seems like he seems a bit of a hard ass or a jerk in this episode, in the pilot, especially in the interrogation scene with Bobby.
I love that.
When like Bobby starts yelling like a madman, he's like tells him, "Hey, now you're not in charge of this this questioning. Like, we're asking you the questions." And there's just a number of things that he does, and he seems like, I don't know, a little bit more of like an official lawman than he does in the rest of the series.
Yeah, he's a bit more serious.
I think he's a little bit more autistic.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
And a little bit more of a smarmy asshole.
I loved it.
Why is he gotta be so anal? Like, Diane doesn't need to know what you had for lunch, how much it costs, how much mileage you're getting on your car.
It's awesome. Hey, he's got to do the expense report when he gets back.
Just write it down.
Maybe
Too much work.
Maybe she's his accountant and she needs to know these things.
Yeah.
Coop, I want you to tell me about every penny you spend in that city.
Diane probably knows every nook and cranny of Cooper's life.
Probably
Probably.
hates him.
And you get the fated meeting of Truman and Cooper.
Love at first sight.
Yeah. I found in this episode that Harry took every opportunity to, like, you know, brush Cooper's arms and shoulders with his hands.
And then bat his eyelashes at him.
Yeah, he touches him many, many times.
What was that song we were talking about this morning, Matt?
Which
The My Body Is My Body?
the one
The one that they teach you in school?
yeah, about not getting molested.
Yeah.
It's like my body's nobody's body but mine. You've got your own body, let me have mine.
What?
That's amazing.
I think I remember that.
Let me have mine. It's a desperate plea. Please, you've got your own. Stop touching me.
So Mike's hanging out in the hospital, and does anybody know why Jacoby's so eager to talk to the law here? I thought maybe he was just trying to wrangle a way to see Laura's body. That's the only thing I could think
He
of.
wanted to defile it?
No, well, he just wanted to go check it out, I think, but I don't know.
Probably wanted.
Laura's body is her own body.
Even though that she's dead. But I remember in one episode, Dr. Jacoby was saying how he didn't really care about any of his patients anymore, and Laura came along, and then that's when he started to care about his patients again. Maybe he felt so, he cared about her so much that he felt like, oh, I can be integral to this investigation. Maybe, I can talk to this FBI guy who's taking over the case.
And him playing with the hula girl on his tie is still freaking creepy.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice his shoes, though? He had the best, blue shoes.
Yeah, the blue shoes.
They look like blue Kool-Aid.
So Coop finds the letter under the nail.
And then he gets this great big grin on his face.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I found it. Woo!
I'm still not sure why he's looking for these after a year when he's only come across it once.
Well, it's a girl wrapped in plastic. I think that's...
Oh, maybe that's the...
Surely that doesn't happen that often.
That you could
right.
never be a detective.
Yeah. Oh, I guess.
No, you couldn't.
I don't draw patterns in my brain.
No.
I also, when they're at the hospital, it just blew my mind because, we live in a modern age, just to see the typewriters. It was like, there's no computers because they don't have them.
Isn't that awesome?
I love this kind of stuff, yeah. Just watching old movies and TV shows. So, Mike is an ass is what I wrote, and I don't remember why.
Because he was.
Donna's boyfriend.
Oh,
Mike.
I know. He's an ass, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not your friend.
Yeah.
I just noticed I was looking at this. Apparently, his gas station is called Big Ed's Gas Farm.
Yeah.
Yes,
Is he just trying to be clever, or do
I
people?
don't know. And then there's a goose on top of it, or it looks like a Canada Goose or something.
Oh yeah.
Because goose deliver gas in Canada.
You
Or
farm.
geese, I mean.
They farm it.
Yeah, they get it. They migrate to the south in the winter, and they bring up the gas in the summer.
Mm-hmm. It's quite a stark contrast, Mike here and Mike later in the series when he's with Nadine. Much prefer him later.
Yeah. Can I dip back to the hospital for just a split second?
Yep.
When they're examining Ronette, they say they both went to the same high school, but they had no connection outside of that. Except they had the same job.
Yeah. L pointed.
Best detectives.
Yeah.
You mean the perfume canner?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just the fact that I don't know if their parents didn't know that they were working there.
How could they
Or
not?
what? I don't know.
No, of course they knew they were. That's the cover job.
Yeah, I don't.
It doesn't make sense for them to have a cover job if no one knows about it.
I know. I think it just wasn't set up yet. I think
Yeah,
it's still-
clearly.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just blame bad detective work.
Oh yeah.
Another thing that probably wasn't set up at the time is the good diary and the secret diary. I think there was probably only supposed to be one diary at first, because why would she keep a key covered in cocaine in her good girl diary?
Well, because you're not going to put a cocaine in your safety deposit box. If you have to go to your safety deposit box every day to snort cocaine,
No, I mean,
they're not convenient.
why is that in her cover diary? You know, the diary that she pretends
It's just
to be
powdered
normal.
sugar. She likes to, it's like a dipstick,
She licks the key.
Yeah, she licks the key.
Yeah, then we get Coop interrogating Bobby.
I love this scene.
Yeah.
I don't care how much Coop, of an ass Coop is. I kind of enjoy his assholiness.
I love how Bobby just kind of gets mad and kind of snaps at him, and then Cooper just smiles and looks at Harry and then looks back.
His smile is so creepy. I love it.
So smug.
It's great. Though, I still don't know how a box of chocolate bunnies counts as evidence. Really.
Maybe it wasn't part of the evidence. He just wanted Diane to know what kind of sweet chocolate bunnies he was eating that day.
Yeah.
Donna begins the lies.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote Donna begins her quest to foil the police investigation at every turn.
Yeah.
I mean, really, she's trying to protect James because... Why?
Yeah, if he's innocent, then
Right.
nothing's gonna happen to him.
She doesn't even know at this point that he doesn't have an alibi.
She doesn't trust the law. Too many entanglements.
See, this is where the seed starts to sprout into her becoming the worst.
Yes, yeah.
I think it's about right there.
Maybe it might be there, and it might be at the moment when her and James kiss. Maybe he transferred it over.
I'm not sorry.
Oh, we are.
Also, I don't know if we've addressed this before, but Harry Truman's fucking coat.
What?
I hated that coat from day one.
What's wrong with it?
Why? It's so... I don't know why. It's so ridiculously... It's too big, it's ugly,
Shapeless?
it's just insanely shapeless. It's the terrible color and pattern, and why is he wearing that many layers to begin with?
And also, because he's a sheriff, isn't he supposed to be wearing a uniform coat?
But
Like
at the beginning, he wears the uniform coat and he puts it on over that coat.
He's trying to hide the fact that he's a scrawny fella.
He's a toothpick underneath.
Yeah. He's just trying to bulk up Brad.
Stupid looking coat.
Gotta look like a kid. I loved in the town meeting when Cooper was like, "Who's that?" And And he was like, oh yeah, that's just the most beautiful woman in town, and yeah, she just happens to be mine. It's just the way he said, that's just the most beautiful woman in town. This is just so smug.
So, before I was always wondering why there was a picture of Leo's house and his truck in Flesh World, but I guess it was attached to his ad? Is that it?
That's really sexy, a truck.
Like
a friggin'... Oh, man.
Yeah.
Didn't it say like swung both ways in there or something?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's exciting times.
So the night that Laura was murdered, were him and Jock in the corner at one point while the girls were taking a break?
What do
I
you...
wonder about that.
If they were in a corner together.
Oh,
You know.
Oh, okay. Quite possibly.
The thing about the photo in the Flesh World, it's so creepy the way he's just like standing there in front of the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that is a weird, creepy pose.
Would you write to that guy for soliciting sex?
Maybe to solicit a murder. Meet a Jason Voorhees type killer
Ooh.
And actually,
for exciting times.
and Leo's got a different hairdo in this too. He's got his little bangs hanging down.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I think he looks a little better with it.
Really?
He looks like a reject from Milli Vanilli or something.
Actually, we found that he was like much thinner in this episode, and Matt commented that he looked a bit like Johnny Depp.
At one point, I one of the faces he made, I'm like, hey, it looks like Johnny Depp for a sec there, but he quickly grew out of that.
Yeah.
Ballooned out of that.
You only smoke one kind of cigarettes in this house.
Oh, jeez.
Alright, cool.
And from now on, I'm just gonna get fatter.
And you're gonna... Why was Shelley wearing a housecoat over her waitress outfit? That doesn't make sense.
I'm gonna get comfortable by putting a
housecoat
over, over my work.
Everyone in Twin Peaks loves layers that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Well, the weather there's kind of weird. Every time it shows that shot of the waterfall behind the Great Northern, there's always ice and snow down in the water. When you come up, there's nothing in the trees, nothing on the ground.
It's supposed to be like February, and it's winter.
It's all over the place.
Like, it's the northern part of the States.
Yeah.
Snowing.
It should be snow, you'd think. Maybe it just rains too much for there to be snow a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, if it's really
Bob,
close to the coast, then...
Or
it's
maybe
probably
Bob's just
farming.
screwing with the weather.
Maybe. Yeah, Caitlin, have you been to like Vancouver or anything? In the...
No, I haven't, but I know it rains a lot. I think it's like if you're... The closer you are to the coast, I think there's a lot more rain, and then once you're up in the mountains more, there'll be snow.
Okay. I really love Ed shaking his head at Nadine frantically opening and closing the drapes.
It looked like she's trying to signal someone.
It's true.
She's trying to signal her secret lover.
A little less subtle about it, but...
That's why she wants them to be silent.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh! So when Ed's in bed sleeping at night.
Sad.
She just goes to the window and opens and closes the curtains violently.
And then Jerry shows up.
So we get to see Donna's lame sister again.
You guys,
Yeah.
you guys
The one you never ever see
Lame.
ever again.
I thought she was pretty lame. What were you gonna say, Mel?
why? No, you guys talk about the lame sister there.
No, it's true. Comparatively, Donna looks pretty cool in this scene.
Yeah. Well, her sister's kind of stuck up in the bedroom studying or writing poetry or whatever.
Well, she's writing terrible poetry.
Yeah.
She makes no attempt to lie.
Yeah.
Sells her sister out immediately.
Did you guys see that pillow that she had on her bed? It said swell gal.
Oh. Awful.
I know.
So they have a little conversation, and then we go to the roadhouse, and I'm confused sometimes when it shows the roadhouse. Like, when it's transitioning to the roadhouse, we get Julie Cruz singing over a picture of a small, very small red house with motorcycles in front of it. It's like a door and two windows. And I'm like, is that the roadhouse? I thought it was a giant white building.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Which we see later. We see the giant white buildings. But this isn't the only time we see that little red house, and I don't know what that is.
It's like one side of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of an outcrop.
One side of it is like the vestigial twin to the roadhouse.
Yeah.
It's the man from another place.
Yeah. The equivalent.
He's like, I'm going for a drink.
Yeah.
It's a big white building on the right, and if you go to the left side, there's a little red side.
Mike and Bobby have a brawl. He totally lays out Ed, but we know later Ed claims that he was drugged.
He's like, oh yeah, something in my coffee or my beer.
Did
I
it?
couldn't see.
Did he look
No.
drugged?
No.
No, he took one kidney punch and went down.
Yeah. It's his weak spot.
And then Bobby took on like 5 guys.
But not for rolling out of the way of people.
Yeah.
He rolled out of the fight
He
fight
rolled
arena.
about like 5 or 6 times to get out of the fight.
Drop and roll.
Yeah. It was like
My body is my body. Don't touch my body.
He's just cowering and rolling. Yeah, so there's a brawl there, and then Joey Paulson takes Donna away to see James. And that James and Donna in the woods is my least favorite scene in this pilot. I don't know about you guys. I can't watch it.
It's just pathetic.
It's just if Donna wasn't always going, oh, James, and if James was looking a bit more manly, he's kind of like,
And Harry and Coop lose them too. They just disappear.
Okay, we have to talk about that.
Yeah. Mel caught something.
Okay, so Harry's like, you think they spotted us? And Cooper's like, can you give me a donut? And then it fades. And then Cooper's like, well, we lost them. It wasn't your fault, Harry. It was mine.
We shouldn't have stopped those donuts.
It's horrible.
And he doesn't even care that they lost them. Yeah.
I think a lot happened during that fade out.
They were staking out the roadhouse for a long time, so they probably had their supplies, but also other things started probably happening in that car, you know, feelings
Yeah.
for being pent up so long.
Feelings started happening.
Yeah, Harry's like, oh, I'm alone in a car with Cooper. Oh. Should I make a move?
And he did.
He lost the suspects.
And then Coop doesn't even care. He's like, well, smell those trees. Yeah. We should talk about stuff we liked. We're just like bashing everything.
I've mentioned stuff that I liked. I liked Cooper's assholiness.
Well, here's something I liked. As soon as they pulled, when they found them again, they pulled over James. He just immediately gets off his bike and stands there with his hands behind his head.
Well, that's what they told him to do.
I know, but it's just funny. It's funny to me.
He could have made a run for it.
He's just standing there staring at Donna, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, well, I'm not going to do anything for you.
I forgot to mention, too, the way that Mike was talking about finding Donna to Doc Hayward.
Yeah.
If I was Doc Hayward, I would have brought a shotgun out.
Yeah.
Like, seriously threatened him. He was totally...
Yeah. If like a teenage girl just got murdered, and this guy that's your daughter's boyfriend is like, oh, I'll find her.
Yeah.
Don't you worry.
Terrible. It's scary. Mike and Bobby are like the worst specimens of humanity ever in this episode. Just littering, drunk driving.
Yeah, I finally get a lot more humanized later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Stereotypical asshole
Jocks.
kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, why is Doc Hayward so lenient on Donna when he... Like, she needs to be punished. Like, you're not encouraging her to...
I thought it was kind of sweet in a way that he was kind of like, you know, let's go find that bike now.
I
But
know, but she did
at the
something...
same time, yeah, you're kind of right.
But anybody brings up, he's like, you know, considering what happened this morning, you can understand we were very upset. Yeah.
He's probably
Your
just
best
thinking,
friend was murdered last night, and you snuck out of the house, and we didn't know where you were.
and
Maybe
now-
he's being so nice to make up for the fact that he's not really her father.
Maybe.
That's what it is. It's guilt.
Yeah.
It's not my kid anyway. What the fuck do I care?
No, he's just feeling guilty because, you know, she doesn't know.
So next it starts deviating from the actual pilot. We get from here on out, it's all the European version.
Okay.
Yeah, so instead of Sarah having a vision of somebody walking through the woods and finding the necklace and then getting freaked out by that, which isn't very freaky, she has a freaky vision of Bob, who is, yeah, he's genuinely more scary, but it's just ridiculous that he was sitting in that room and she forgot.
All right. Before we even get into this, just this whole ending I went in with the conception that they created this so it would be an end to the story.
Yeah, so it's the murder is solved, yes.
Right. That's not what happened.
No, not with the 25 years later thing.
With none of it. None of it. Like, this isn't a coherent story.
No, it's not. But they did find the murderer, even though it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make
But
any
it's like,
sense at
why
all.
would you... If you just saw this version and thought this was just a film, like, none of the... Why would any of these characters... Like, there's so much starting of story because it's a pilot to a TV show.
Yeah.
And nothing pays off at all.
Yeah. Why are we seeing half of these people, yeah.
Why do I care about Ed and Norma?
Did you catch Bob in the mirror this time?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you, Caitlin?
Nope.
Ah. You don't have it up right now, do you?
Yeah.
Look in the mirror. It's so freaky.
That's awesome.
So yeah, is that possible whatsoever that you would see a guy, your vision zooms in on him, hiding behind the bed, and then you go about in your day?
She's crazy though.
Because, like, if it's a vision, okay, but it's when she calls and then Lucy's reporting, it's like, she remembers she saw a guy that might be the killer.
Yeah, he was actually there.
I actually saw, I was cleaning up and I just saw this scary guy in my house. Whoopsie daisy, forgot about it.
Maybe it was like a magic eye and she was kind of thinking about it, you know? And then it came into focus in her mind. She's like, oh, there he was.
Maybe.
Or was that Leland just hiding behind the bed, and she just saw Bob? He's just like, oh, honey, I'm gonna go upstairs, take a shower, and then he just hides in Laura's room.
If this was the series, that might work. But this is the European pilot, where as far as I can tell, there's no supernatural things happening.
So did this happen? Did she see Bob when she was looking for Laura?
Yes.
Well, that doesn't make sense at all. Because if Bob is
Couldn't find her.
Well, yeah,
Found
but
this squirrely looking guy.
Yeah, but if Bob is Leland or whatever,
He's
Leland
not.
wasn't there.
He's not.
Yeah, but if you keep that in mind, you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think that just goes to show that they did not care about this. Like, they didn't want to do it. They were forced to do this to make this ending.
Well, I was reading up on it, and apparently they were very confident that the show was going to get picked up.
Yeah.
So they just, they didn't really care about this. They're like, just put this on the end.
Yeah.
I do love the Lucy with the paddle ball and Andy playing the trumpet, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
another thing.
so
Andy's mullet disappears in this scene.
Yeah, what were they doing? It's like 2 a.m, and they're just trumpeting and playing paddleball.
They're just winding down after a hard day's work, Matt.
Yeah. And
They have to do something enjoyable after witnessing, like, murderous, investigations. And...
Leland calls Lucy, and she tells him that Tommy the Hawk Hill is the best sketch artist in town.
And Andy's like, oh.
It looks like Coop has a dream we don't get to see, but and he gets a call from Mike, and Mike talks about knowing the man who killed Teresa Banks, and he says something about he knows about the stitches and the red thread, so I guess that has something to do with the Teresa Banks investigation, but whatever it wasn't carried over to the movie.
yeah.
And Coop had me worried for a sec. Like, he began a sentence. He's like, "This just goes to show that when 2 events happen concerning the same thing," I thought he was going to say it's always a sign or something, but he said just pay special attention. So I'm like, okay, that's reasonable, I guess.
Still.
At least he didn't say conclusively, it's always connected.
I was kind of, I don't know why, but I was kind of half expecting him to say that, and when he gets to the last part, he's like, when 2 things happen pertaining to the same incident, it's Bob.
When 2 things happen and pertaining to the same incident, 2 things have happened pertaining to the same incident.
Andy, I don't know if his joke about Mike being unarmed is intentional or not. He wants to speak with you, he's unarmed.
Yeah, and then, that's another thing. The next scene, he's got his mullet back.
Andy does?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Weird.
Yeah, I've got it right here in front of me. And it's like wild and unkempt too.
They probably told him to get a haircut.
Andy, meet us down at the hospital and put on your fake mullet.
Caitlin, what do you think of all these scenes that we're getting here?
Well, I have to say that the Lucy Andy scene was like the best one ever, and all the rest pertaining to the murder were just bizarre, like not entirely satisfying.
No. So,
You have to admit, Mike was kind of creepy though in that dark hospital.
yeah, I love Mike.
Yeah, he's
like,
great.
I like
I
that
liked
part.
the phone call too. His voice is just perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
You
wish.
got that great creepy voice.
Yeah, I wish he had done more acting in the series.
The question is that he's been looking for Bob, apparently just around the hospital.
Yeah, because apparently Bob is a crazy guy who lives in the basement and occasionally comes and takes care of infirm people.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's been there for about a year. No one's noticed them.
Takes care, quote unquote. I think he takes more advantage of their weakness and just kind of slips right in.
Maybe.
So he calls the cops to come and investigate, but then he just decides to kill him.
Yep.
It was really random.
So yeah, he speaks with the cops and he has some crazy speech, but as far as I can tell, Bob and Mike are just guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy guys.
Then
Just weird dudes who speak with strange intonations.
Yeah. And they go down to the basement and they find the killer, and it's just too easy.
It's too easy and convenient, yeah.
It's so easy that, well, no, wait, that's my quote. Never mind.
Yeah, but it's so easy that Bob had the funny quote.
When they go down into the basement and they find Bob, it made me think of Freddy Krueger, because he's not hanging out in the Black Lodge now he's in the boiler room.
Yeah.
It didn't.
He's got a circle of cannibals and a man with dirt.
A circle of cannibals.
Yeah, circle of cannibals. Circle of candles. He's just got a bunch of cannibals eating people. It was a weird party.
Yeah.
Also, he's far less creepy in this.
Yeah.
Like, he's just sort of weird, flamboyant Killer Bob.
He's the musical
Hey.
for Killer Bob. Because, does anybody have the song quoted? I hope they do. The song that he sings about the death bag. Aww.
I don't.
Sings a song?
He does. He sings a
I
song
must have
about his death bag.
He-
He's like, where's Mike? I so wanted to sing with him again. And then he starts singing about his death bag, and then Mike shows up in the background, and I really wanted them to start singing together, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
My death bag is my death bag.
You've got your own death bag. Let me have mine. Yeah, he tried to lure Mike in using his Broadway skills. I guess.
It did. Totally did.
Mike shot him, and then he has a heart attack.
What did he say?
Case closed.
What did Mike say when he was, like, dying?
I'm not sure.
He's
Something.
like,
but-
something about, can I have a nickel?
I don't know.
Yeah. And then he says,
change for a nickel. My arm hurts.
he says, you took your turn, Bob. Bob, wait till it's your time.
Yeah.
So are they taking turns killing people? Is that what I'm supposed to get from this?
Yeah.
I think they're just insane people.
Maybe they were
And now
working
they're
as a
dead.
team. They were working as a team, and then Mike decided to quit, so he cut his arm off. And then, I don't know. And then he decided to go on the hunt for Bob. I don't know.
But for this part too, like when Mike comes in and he shoots Bob and kills Bob, and then Mike dies.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was originally intended for the series to have those two sort of, share like a life force or something, like they're connected in some way.
Yeah.
Like, because we already know that they're connected,
Yeah.
going out and enjoying the pleasures.
Yeah, as it were.
Yeah, it looks like they were trying to do that. He got shot in the chest, so Mike dies of a heart attack, but
Imaginary gunshot wounds.
yeah. And then we, for no reason whatsoever, fast forward 25 years to the year 2014, where the world has gone topsy-turvy, and everyone speaks backwards, and the dead Laura Palmer has risen, and there's no, they do not say this is a dream, it's just a...
It's like David Lynch is like, here, try to make sense of this.
Yeah. Man,
He just loves screwing with people's minds.
that's what happens after December 2012, guys. That's what the world's gonna be.
Yeah, this is David Lynch's view of the apocalypse.
Yeah. So what did you
Bizarre.
guys make of this? Like how they just threw this on?
I think someone just wanted a really weird scene, and so they felt the need to stick that in there
Mm-hmm.
because this pilot wasn't weird enough.
Yeah.
And it seems kind of, I hate to say it, but it seems kind of lazy, because all this stuff was used in other episodes, so it's kind of like just taking all this footage that they already had and putting it together. Yeah, let's go down to the basement and film these two guys in 5 minutes, alright.
Well, it was filmed for the European pilot and then taken from that and used in the series.
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing. Like, why did they make this footage?
I don't know if they had no
Like, if they were planning on using it later on in the series, and they were just going to go ahead and shoot it and then force it, that would make sense. But that's not what happened.
Yeah, the series was a full year later, so I'm not sure if they had plans to use this then or not.
David Lynch just likes to film weird shit. Give him a break.
Yeah, I guess.
He's a friggin' weirdo. We all know that.
He just likes to film weird shit.
He does. What's wrong with that? It's enjoyable.
I know.
It's enjoyable weird shit.
It gives the audience something to do, trying to figure it all out.
That's right.
Speaking of weirdness, so I watched this last night, and afterwards I decided to watch an episode of Dragnet.
Okay.
Because I wanted to see how real cops do it.
Nice.
So I watched like the first episode of the 1967 Dragnet with the Blue Boy episode, which is awesome. And there is a scene in it where they go to like the crazy drug house, and it's like all red lights and people are dancing around and they're playing music, and at some point they reverse the music.
Oh.
The guy's like playing like one of those big old timey tape recorders, and he starts rewinding and playing it backwards. And I was like, what the hell is this?
That's cool.
It's very, very much like Twin Peaks.
Huh, that's interesting.
Cool.
Dragnet, huh?
Depend on that.
It's probably not on our Netflix
Yeah,
yet.
our Netflix is different.
It just doesn't have as much stuff yet.
We do have Kolchak the Night Stalker.
Nice.
I will go ahead and give it, I think I gave the original pilot 9 out of 10, but if I'm taking this as a whole entity, I have to include the ending for this one, and that just, like, makes no sense and is really no thought put into it and doesn't feel natural, so 6 out of 10 lazy endings for me.
So, keeping in mind what you just said, I'll give it a 7 retro hairdos out of 10.
Delightful retro hairdos.
Yeah.
I did have a number, but I'm just trying to think of something witty.
Okay. Brad?
It's hard to gauge because this doesn't make any sense of itself. I don't even know, but just gauging it on my personal enjoyment of the wackiness, I'll go a solid 7 out of 10 curiously English-speaking Josies.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10 princesses playing paddleball. And yeah, it wasn't satisfying at all. It was just so bizarre and all over the place.
Did you at least enjoy it up until it changed from the original?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't not enjoyable. There's just so many, I don't know, not the high quality that some of the other Twin Peaks episodes were.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. Distracting quote-unquote donuts.
Distracting.
Yeah.
Well, we lost them.
Let's have some donuts.
Okay. Does anyone have quotes?
I have a quote.
Okay.
It's still at the very beginning. We were talking about the foghorn. Pete walks out and he says, "The lonesome foghorn blows."
Must be fun to be Pete.
I know.
You just go muse about anything.
2x4s, 4x8s.
Yeah, exactly.
2x4s, 4x8s.
My air sacs have never felt so good.
Delightful.
The Norwegians are leaving. Ding ding, the Norwegians are leaving. Everyone watch out.
Yeah. Norwegian Stampede.
I can't remember if this one was in the first, when you first reviewed the first episode, the original pilot. But if it is, it bears repeating. It always makes me laugh. And it's when they find the train in the woods where Andy's sitting there and he's calling it in.
Yeah.
Tell Harry I didn't cry.
What did he say after that?
Oh, I can't remember.
I think
I think he just started weeping like a baby.
He did, but he said something. I never turned the subtitles on. It sounded like he said, "It's horrible," or something.
Terrible. But I love Lucy. She sounds kind of like a sheep. Oh, Andy.
Brad,
Okay, greatest quote ever.
okay.
Welcome to the killer's lair.
Mystery
What?
solved. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I won't hurt you.
Baby, you are more like a 3-stage rocket. Pocket rocket. Ugh.
I also like when Bobby comes upon Leo's truck and then he's like, "Beaut!" Almost like
Yeah.
a swear word.
Yeah. Hey, Snake, don't take any oink oink from that pretty pig.
I don't know why, but I also like the scene where Donna goes over and talks to Big Ed, and then Mike shows up and yells at her.
Yeah.
And Big Ed's like, "Whoa, calm down there, friend." And he's like, "I'm not your friend."
Yeah.
I like that. Gary Cooper? Wait. Gary Cooper?
Gary Cooper.
Yeah. Jacob.
Well, we'll get to feedback then. We have
We didn't even have any Cooper quotes.
no Cooper quotes.
That's because we've done them a
Yeah, I
lot
think-
already.
So we got 1, 2, 3. We got 4 for the European pilot. Mel's leaving.
I'm leaving. No, I'm just getting a drink of water.
Okay. Jake, you want to read one?
All right.
This one is from Chris Marsh.
Hi, folks. The European Pilot was my first exposure to Twin Peaks. I rented it on VHS and was only vaguely aware of its differences. The box advertised extra footage to wrap up the crime. At the time, I thought, oh, well, good. I loved the hell out of it and made a dub copy with 2 VCRs, the way we used to do it back in the day. And I used to do that too. But as I watched the little man dance over the closing credits, I was so goddamn lost. Aside from the bizarre elements that we all know and love, I was thrown off by the structure. I had no idea where the broadcast pilot ended and the extra footage began. I later searched for my answer online and inadvertently read a spoiler that revealed the true killer.
Oh.
Sad face. How in the hell can they make the show out of this, I wondered. It took a long time for me to figure it out. This version removes all of the paranormal mythology, so I had a hard time understanding that Bob was a spirit and that Mike had split personalities and that the Red Room sequence was a dream, etc. Looking back, though, I love this European pilot. I even prefer it.
What?
That's what they said. I think it's scarier to see Sarah's vision of Bob than that of a gloved hand picking a necklace, not a hand.
Agreed.
In brackets. It's stranger, too, having the 25 years later epilogue completely unexplained. So I'm happy it's available on pristine DVD. Imagine my confusion, though, when I watched episode 1 a few weeks later, where Agent Cooper was young again. Nobody knew about Bob, and the crime remained unsolved. Be well, guys.
Oh, that's just a horrible way to be introduced to the show. I'm surprised you stuck with it.
Yeah, well, I remember when I first saw it a couple years ago, that I saw the European pilot first, and I was like, huh?
Oh, really? You saw this first as well?
Yeah, and I also saw Fire Walk with Me before the series, so I knew that, Leland was the killer.
Oh, you ruined it all.
Well, it didn't really ruin it for me because it just got weirder and weirder, and I was intrigued by how weird it was going to get.
Yeah. It's still enjoyable, yeah.
Yeah.
Who wants to take the next one?
I can do it if nobody else wants to.
Sure.
Do it.
Greetings from the UK. I found your podcast by chance and have enjoyed listening to it since the new year. Brad, you amuse me on my long rain-drenched train journeys into work. Anyway, on to the feedback. I always thought that the European pilot seemed too tagged on. Does it mean tacked on? Tagged on. And wrapped up. As far as I'm aware, it was something that was enforced upon Lynch and Frost, and it wasn't something that they really wanted to do. The pilot has a very slow, dreamlike pace, which is suddenly all wrapped up too quickly, with the reveal at the end. Bob is simply a killer living in a basement with no demonic properties, which Lynch and Frost explored in the series proper. However, the good thing about the additional scenes that were filmed was the creation of the Red Room sequence, that was later used as an integral part of the series. Not a great standalone, but some good things came out of it. Currently listening to Carnicast. It's good to see little Mike again. Over and out, Josh. Thanks,
Josh. Jake, have you started listening to the Carnicast?
I listened to the first episode, but I'm trying to get my girlfriend to watch Carnival as well, so...
Why is that so hard?
Well, because we just finished... it's a whole story.
Okay.
I'll explain it to you some other time.
All right.
But yeah, I listened to the first episode, and I was entertained. I liked it. And now I'm going to rewatch Carnival.
Sweet. Caitlin, you want to do one?
Sure. Hey guys, hope I make it in on time. Honestly, I thought this ending was a huge mess. I'm glad Lynch and Frost recycled the best bits for the extended series and cut out the rest. But since it wasn't the true ending, I felt free to have fun with it. I even learned a few things. Lucy and Andy have never actually had sex. Lucy, Andy was playing the trumpet and we were getting ready for bed. No, Lucy's wearing a wedding ring in this scene too. Makes you wonder what the hell they did on their honeymoon.
Oh, she is.
Bob and Gerard are gay for each other. Bob, in a ridiculous voice. Robert, that's my proper name. The delivery here is astoundingly off-putting. It's so overly effeminate that it drowns any sense of urgency to the situation created by the standoff. One can make the argument that it was just an awkward delivery and Silva was trying to go for menacing and it came out a bit campy. But then there's this. Gerard. We lived among the people. I mean it like it is. Like it sounds.
I don't know why I like that line.
I think he's implying that they were gay lovers above a convenience store. Which is plausible in this world.
Yeah.
So in the Euro ending, Bob was a person, not an inhabiting spirit as he was in the series. Because in the series, this line had interesting connotation, but here that's thrown out the window regardless of the dirty floor birthday cake Bob had on display, signifying some kind of supernatural aspect to what was going on. So what does this line mean now? He's saying he simply shared a flat with some other dude above the Stop and Shop? When he said with a huge smile on his face, I mean it like it is, like it sounds, it seemed like Gerard wanted to clarify his living situation to a group of police, as if it had some kind of bearing on the case. Turns out it didn't.
You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like Blue Boy in the Dragnet episode. The big LSD.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Everybody go research that.
Everybody go watch it.
Apparently the Red Room has a speak and spell. Bob. Teresa starts with a T. Who can imitate the speak and spell voice?
Jake, you've done it before, that comedian who does the speak and spell, didn't you?
Yeah. Teresa starts with a T. That was terrible.
Okay. Someone's been hitting those flashcards. Mystery solved? The next scene opens with Cooper overlooking the man from another place, violently shaking in place. After watching this scene again, it seems a good bet that because he represents Gerard's arm, and with Gerard's arm were shaking uncomfortably before he cut it off, that he's just really uncontrollably. What did I say?
You said uncomfortably.
Yes, well, probably that too.
Guys, my arm's not comfortable.
It's shaking uncomfortably.
Alrighty. Alright, shaking uncomfortably before he cut it off, that he's just mimicking Bob's influence over Gerard. Then he swivels around to let us know it's time to party with. Let's rock. Something I imagine Leo or Jacques no doubt said once they got to the cabin with the drugs. Followed by Laura's baiting Cooper with a nose tap. A kind of 90s way of asking someone if they want to partake in coke. Mystery solved! The shadow in the Red Room is Waldo! Today on the Facebook page I had a discussion about this and came to the conclusion that the flying object in the background was, in fact, that ridiculous little bird. I found an excerpt from the original script posted to lynchnet.com that reads, The little man holds hands with a woman. They look at each other and then look at Cooper, smiling enigmatically. The little man rubs his hands slowly together again. The shadow of a bird passes above them.
Interesting.
Actually, in the Simpsons episode where Chief Wiggum has that backwards talking dream, they actually animated the shadow flying by the curtains in the background.
Oh, yeah?
I never noticed that until a little while ago.
Oh, neat.
And then when he wakes up, he's got the Cooper flip with his hair. He's got a little hair horn.
And that was from Daniel Norkin. Thanks, Daniel. Here's the last one from Claire. Oh, it's short. It's your duty. It's your sacred duty, Brad.
Oh, I know. Hello, Peaky Peekers. Okay, some super quick feedback here. Quicker than how quick the European pilot turns from awesomely creepy into what the fuck camp hilarity. I think the one thing I really love from the European pilot is Sarah's vision. Yep, the idea that she suddenly remembers a strange man crouching at the end of the bed is a little silly. I just love the camera sweeping back across Laura's room with Bob at the end of the bed, just visible. So scary in its simplicity. The version used in the normal series is a little more dramatic. I kind of wish they used the version in the series with Bob as the supernatural threat he is, than rather the human murderer he is here. It would have been an effective nod to Bob being ever present in the Palmer house as Leland. The Andy and Lucy scene is cute, but the whole Rush story of Leland being all, oh yeah, my wife just remembered, is really clunky.
I'll say.
But the bit that is my favorite from the version, for the sheer pantomime campiness, is Bob declaring, "Welcome to the killer's lair." This Bob is so cuddle and not frightening compared to Bob from the series film that I just find the scene hilarious. Even Kyle MacLachlan and Michael Onkeen look bewildered by everything going on. Oh, and we also get that cool shot of the candles blowing out that was also used in the series. So it's kind of hard to judge this. I would score it lower than the final pilot, but for comedy value, I have to add a point. So I'll give it 6 dramatic, platoon-esque Bob dying camera shots out of 10.
Thanks, Claire. Any more thoughts that you wanted to get out on the European pilot?
There's one thing I wanted to bring up. Just reading some of the feedback here, he was talking about the man from another place shaking uncontrollably, representing Bob's arm or whatever. In the last episode, when Cooper goes into the Red Room, the Giant and the man from another place say that they're one and the same. So does that mean that the Giant is also Mike's arm?
I've heard somebody say that they think that the little man and the Giant are the same, and that the Giant is what the little man looks like when he's projecting himself into the real world.
Yeah, but like I said, when Cooper gets into the Red Room, the Giant's sitting there in the chair next to him. So they're both there. Or maybe, I don't know.
Maybe he's projecting himself beside himself. I don't know.
I am sitting here beside myself.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that are still unanswered.
Yeah.
It will always go unanswered as long as Mark Frost doesn't remember what he wrote.
He's like, I don't want to relive this.
Okay, alright, so thanks, Jake, for coming.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
I guess you can get some applause. Yay!
Yeah. Yay!
Boo. You don't have anything you'd like to plug, do you?
Anything I'd like to plug?
What cartoons are you working on?
Right. Well, actually, I'm working at a video game company right now, so
okay.
You can play some of our games. We're called ArcticEmpire.ca. You can check us out. We're just a small social game company that's starting up in Ottawa.
Like Facebook games, or?
Yeah, sort of like that.
Just don't create the next Farmville.
I'll try not to.
Okay.
You gotta earn $1 somehow, man.
Whatever you create, just make sure people don't ask me if I want to play it. If I want to play it, I'll play it.
Oh, I hate it when people do that.
Yeah. All right, Brad.
You can hear me on the Ramjack podcast, where we have fun and shenanigans and watch Mr. Belvedere and Saved by the Bell and do other things, which is a good time. And also, if you happen to perchance find your way in and around Cincinnati at the end of May, first week of June, you should come see my new show, which is Third Quarter Moon, a complex derivative love story.
Nice.
It's all the angst of Twilight and all the terror of the global financial crisis.
Wow.
Cool.
Exciting.
All right. Should we have
A moment of silence.
a moment of hysteria for Laura
Or
Palmer?
hysteria.
Moment of hysteria.
Okay. Count of 3.
3, 2, 1.
I'm Blue Boy!
So next time we'll be doing a entire series retrospect.
We're not watching the entire series.
No, we're not
today.
rewatching the entire series. This will be from memory. So just send in whatever you want about the entire series.
You want.
No, it's a prerogative that I'm giving everyone.
Oh.
Okay. So thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. Check us out on twitter.com/TwinPeaksCast. Search for the Twin Peaks Podcast group on Facebook. And visit us on twinpeakspodcast.blogspot.com. Email your feedback to twinpeakspodcast@gmail.com.
Here's a tune for you guys. Okay. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.